Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick. We're here at the OpenStack Summit 2016 in Barcelona in Spain. And in this interview I've got two guests with me. On my right is Morin, who is Network Software Engineer at Orange. Thomas, welcome. Good to see you. And on his right is Carver, Principal Member of Technical Staff at AT&T. Gentlemen, welcome both. I'm going to start with you, Paul, if I might. NFV, which is now 3.5–4 years old, began in corporate networks and in the enterprise. And it's still there, of course, very much so. But now the focus is swinging across to the telco environment and service providers. The first question to you is this: is NFV is at the moment sufficiently rigorous to be able to provide the services and applications that telecoms providers will need to be able to provide the new services, etc.? Is it yet at the point where it's ready to go?
I think the answer is there are a range of NFV applications, and some of them are ready and some of them are not yet. But the amount of progress that's been made just in the last 2 years has been tremendous, and we're getting very close to the point where all of the input from the telco community has been listened to. It hasn't all been implemented, but it's been well received, particularly by the OpenStack community and some of the other communities such as OPNFV and some of the other communities around NFV and cloud computing.
So it's a work in progress, and the organizations are all with open in there, understand what's going on and are cool with it, basically.
There are quite a number of applications within the NFV space, and many of them are progressing very well, and some of them are simply behind others in the order of prioritization.
Good, that's very clear, thank you. Now, let's move on to what you two do. What projects you're involved in? You obviously work closely together. Off camera, you're chatting together. You obviously know one another well. What have you been working on?
So with others, we've been working on getting into Neutron, the network component of OpenStack, the ability to let OpenStack users interconnect their OpenStack VMs and telco operators' BGP VPNs. So this is a project that's been ongoing since 1.5 years, 2 years, which has made good progress, and we are happy to see today that the need is better understood by the OpenStack community, more specifically the Neutron community. So we are kind of one illustration on how the gap can be bridged in communities that were not necessarily completely aware of each other's technologies and needs before that. We had the early days of NFV.
We had a large gathering at the Vancouver OpenStack Summit 2 springs ago, I think it was, where BGP VPNs were something people were interested in, but Neutron really didn't have a solution to that. So there was OpenStack networking, and then there was telco networking, and these were two different things. And there was a lot of belief on the telco side that Neutron networking people didn't understand telco networking, and there was probably a lot of belief on the OpenStack networking side that telco networking was a legacy thing. Maybe it didn't matter, maybe it wasn't worth understanding, but when this group of people came together, it was obvious that there was a large amount of interest, and since that time, the amount of information sharing and the amount of acceptance and recognition of the need for these things to work together has expanded.
The other part of the way that we went through is the fact that, well, telcos also had a learning to do on how to get their needs understood. They had to learn how to contribute, and all this hadn't happened yet at that time, yes. And it incrementally happened since. So we've seen a lot of progress in this area as well.
So the project continues. What will be the end result?
The end result of this is to allow OpenStack cloud operators to offer an interconnection, the networking within an OpenStack cloud, which Neutron has been providing for a number of years now, and which Nova provided before the Neutron project started, in a very simple in the data center view, to interconnect with the wide area networks that have existed for decades outside of the data center. And prior to this project, those were really very different things. The cloud operator might not even communicate very well with the network operator. The cloud operator might be concerned with servers, and the network switches would be somebody else's problem. And this project, the end result of this is to bridge that communications divide and allow the networking in the data center to extend to the wide area network.
So the ability to do something like this was already present in what we call SDN controllers, but not in a way that was easily exposed to OpenStack end users. So this is the key thing that our project changes, along with having a unified way to advertise this capability that was present in SDN controllers, but not in an homogeneous way. And the applications of this are actually multifold. We have applications for interconnecting the public cloud with business VPNs, the VPNs of business customers that have been using MPLS-based VPNs for a while now. We have uses for interconnecting data centers or interconnecting NFV POPs, and some of these needs are newer, but well, we really have a range of use cases for which this unified API is useful for.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. The SDN controller space has historically been a separate space from OpenStack, and Neutron is in some sense an SDN controller, but in another sense that's not really the primary focus. Neutron is not necessarily an application or a controller in the same sense that Open Daylight or Open Contrail or some of the proprietary SDN controllers are. And historically, this divide between the cloud operators and an understanding of OpenStack and Nova and Neutron stuff, and the network operators who were talking to the SDN controller vendors is again, it's a divide in the organizations. And this project that we're working on helps to bring that together by providing an OpenStack API and user interface to the cloud user and the cloud administrator that is in the same ecosystem, but it doesn't necessarily replace the SDN controllers. We have the ability to interoperate with multiple SDN controllers. So this project has a driver model that supports Open Daylight, Open Contrail, a Nuage, but also interacts as a native component of Neutron. It extends the Neutron API, extends the Horizon dashboard, extends the heat orchestration, all of these OpenStack components now presented to the OpenStack administrator and the OpenStack user in a way that the SDN controller interfaces historically would not have been.
Very clear, good summation. Gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you very much.